Good. Okay, everyone. So our rocket pitch that we wanted to talk about is how to help children come over difficult experiences they go through in their lives. We kind of have our own personal stories to talk about. I talked about in my own process presentation how when I grew up in this city, I was a smaller kid. I was picked on a lot, was bullied, and that had a long-lasting effect on me for a while. And Clayton has a story.
Yeah, so also, as I talked about in my process, mine wasn't necessarily about bullying, but more about the kind of adverse childhood experiences. My parents were divorced when I was younger. My father was troubled with alcoholism, and my mother was diagnosed schizophrenic. So that's an A score of 3. Had a very big impact on my life, and I couldn't think of how it would be today without that, I guess. Jared?
Along with that, I had an A score of about 5, and on top of all that, with kind of the bullying aspect, and I did my paper about ballet because it's always been a part of my life, but it always wasn't easy. From 5th grade up until my sophomore year of high school, I was called a faggot every single day of my life. And it's hard, and there's times where you feel alone, and you don't know what to do anymore. And that's when I just really, really engrossed myself, not only in ballet, but in arts, and I found outlets, which is what we're going to try to talk about today. So our problem, in general, is that children that have troubling childhoods, that have high A scores, that are bullied, what can we do as teachers, as mentors, as parents to help them? What outlets do they have? What resources can we provide for them? And that's what we're going to talk about to you today.
So just to kind of touch on why it's important, I'm going to talk about just real quickly the prevalence of A scores in the U.S. and abroad. According to the CDC survey that I cited last time with the Kaiser Permanente Health Maintenance Organization, the people with an A score of 1, there's approximately 26%, A score of 2, 15.9%, A score of 3, 9.5%, and A score of 4 or more, 12.5%. And then there's really no definitive evidence for abroad, but kind of the cumulative stressor model that I'll talk about briefly in a minute just really notes that the adversities abroad for children are even more impactful and more prevalent, so that these numbers are just absolutely going to skyrocket really for children abroad in armed conflict areas, war conflicted areas, areas where terrorism is rampant.
Just to talk about the prevalence of bullying within school, in Joseph Diggs' article, The Nature and Extent of Bullying at School, he said that from ages 5th grade to senior year of high school, 80% of people reported have either been bullied, or watched someone be bullied. So this is something that's prominent to about 8 in every 10 people's lives. So the prevalence is there, and it's something that there needs to be help to get over.
And so really bringing all this together, part of my research included the cumulative stressor model that I just mentioned. And what that is basically a model that's designed to better identify the cumulative effects of adversity. So rather than just the effects of divorce on a child, you include now the effects of 4 A scores or 3 A scores plus bullying thrown in there. So essentially, somebody with an A score of 1 is going to have less chance to develop depressive disorders than somebody with an A score of, say, like 7, 8.
So part of my research that I found is that being bullied can be a cycle. So once a child is bullied, they tend to get bullied more. They become an easier target. They become more reclusive. They kind of become more shy, which just makes them an easier target. So it's a cycle that needs broken.
Now, quick question, show of hands. Who at their high schools or middle schools was a part of like an anti-bullying group? So Rachel's Challenge, Respect Period, anything like that at your schools? Now, keep your hands up if from the start to the end of the school year you continued with meetings, continued with your message, like that same drive that you had and those same activities and all that you were doing, you kept doing throughout the year. Half the people's hands went down. So that's one of the things that we look at. there's no outlets that are going full force. Myself personally, as a part of Rachel's Challenge and Respect Period, we went really strong. We were doing different dramatic plays for the middle schools and elementary schoolers about bullying. We were going to do like a fight sing flash mob to show the effects of fighting and bullying that happen with people. And by the end of the year, all these great plans that we had planned for the school year, they never happened. The teachers lost their drive, they lost their motivation, they got too busy. And we had no way to show that we want to help others. Now also, show fans, who's passionate about something, so has their one passion, sports, art, reading. Now I want you to remember that, your passion. Now while we get the rest of our presentation, think about your passion. Think about how much of an impact that passion has made on your life.
So in trying to connect all of our topics, we came across a TED Talk from Melissa Walker, who's a creative arts therapist. And basically what she does is she helps military service men and women kind of overcome the traumatic experiences, brain injury, mental illnesses that they experience while serving. And how she does that is she proposes that mask making helps the vets kind of reveal what's been haunting them, and then they can finally start to overcome that. So through art, through making masks of what constantly haunts them, they eventually overcome the PTSD and the other mental illnesses from the adversities that they experienced in war.
So as future educators, as doctors, as future parents, what can we do? Get your children involved, be there for them, be mentors, be guides. If they find something they love to do, whether it's an art, whether it's music, whether it's a sport, reading, writing, coloring, embrace it, push them, make them feel safe when they're confined in that, when they're in that time period. When I was at dance, I was the happiest kid ever. I felt safe. My closest friends were there. We had a passion. We loved what we were doing. I was able, for that short period of time, forget everything that happened outside those doors. And that's what we need to do, is embrace the arts, embrace each other, and be there for our kids or students, or even if we see children on the street, how can we help them? How can we stop bullying altogether? How can we lower the ACE scores? For the children with high ACE scores, what can we do to make them feel safe? For doctors, you're going to see tons of children that have horrible child experiences, whether it's abusive parents, alcoholic parents, that have been sexually or physically assaulted. Teachers, we're going to see the same things. Vets, you're going to see kids who are so attached to their pets, and losing their pets is going to destroy them. How can we help the children? How can we make that little bit of time that they're in our care that much better for them?
Just as a brief wrap-up review, kids are very susceptible to traumatizing events growing up, as with ACE scores or bullying. So it's important to find these outlooks, find something that they're passionate in. It's what can save someone.
So we'd like to leave you with a quote to think about for as we go into our future. I know a lot of us, this is the end of our classes or the end of our time here at the University of Mount Union. So just remember, never make fun of someone for their passion, because that's the thing that saves them from the world.